Hello, Jamie from InkyandScrappy, back to my Let's Start Stamping series this week with another fun fold. So kind of playing with the interactives this summer, some more fun folds, nothing too difficult, nothing that you need special dies for. I'm trying to keep them maybe starter level. Sometimes they might look harder than they really are, but I wanted to, I'm going to show you two things. So this one is what we're going to work with today, which we'll just say this is my second filming of it, not my first. So I have samples for you. So this one is I would call it an accordion fold. I think it's called a double Z fold. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure on the name. This one actually came as a birthday card to me from Jessica Scott. So if you follow Chevy.Scott on Instagram, she has fun folds and she makes some beautifully amazing cards as well. So go give her a like or a follow on Instagram if you're over there. But she had sent me this one for my birthday and I was like, oh, that one's fun. It's, it's that, I think it's called a double Z. That's it's really fun. I think this was going to be easier for you. Keep in mind, if you don't like the interactive or the fun fold stuff, you can always just do a regular mat, put this underneath, make it a flip open card, and include a mat on your inside of the card with pattern paper. And you'll get the same look, you just won't have that added fun fold in there. So keep that in mind. Now, why do I say this is my second filling? Because this was actually the one that I did. As you can see, I added this way at the end and then I didn't like it. So I have to fix that one yet. I fixed it with this one. The other thing is, I got off track. It happens. So there's that. I do want to touch on, I think it was it 2 weeks ago or last week? I don't even remember anymore. I did the magic invisible or infinity fold card. I will say I did it. This one is a 5x7. I like it better in the 5x7 for measurement wise. It's just a lot easier. I will go back to that video, I think, and add in the 5x7 measurements. It just made it a lot easier. Think ephemera for this one. So you don't have to, this is an ephemera piece. That's an ephemera piece. Can't say ephemera today. But don't feel like you have to do a whole lot. You can definitely just do, and I did way too much on this one. I'm going to have to just write my little note on a separate piece of cardstock and tuck it in there for my nephew. But ultimately, it's a fun one, right? And of course, because the turtles, there's 4 of them and there's 4 sides to this one, it worked. But I love this one in a 5x7. So if you struggle with the measurements on the other one, I will go and add the 5x7 measurements on that video. I will try to remember to link it below. Don't quote me on that because I suck at remembering all the things I say while I'm recording. The other thing I wanted to show you was a fun new, I don't want to say fun new. Amy taught me this on one of our Sunday meets. She said she had seen somebody else do it, and it makes total sense. So back in the day, I remember gel pens when they first came out, and they were freaking amazing, and they wrote, and they had that nice, just like, the Pilot ones, they were nice, and they were smooth, and you didn't have the choppiness that you get with them. Like here, you get the choppiness, and the ink doesn't flow very well. Can you see I've been playing? So, for that, I'm going to show you how to do that quick. Well, I think I'll leave this underneath just because it gives us a little bit of a background. So this is the plug that goes in the back. I think the quality just went down over the years. So I've been using, my boys I threw a bunch of it out, so I'm kicking myself for this one. But this is dental wax. You can pick it up, I think at the drugstore would carry dental wax. The other place, you can just use Fun Tack or maybe anything else that kind of is that it's not going to dry out and it's going to stay wet. So I don't know if other types of clay will work for this one, but this is what I've been using. Basically, I am just going to come in here and scoop up a piece that's going to cover that whole end there so it doesn't have any gap in there. You can definitely do. The one I did yesterday, I rolled it in a ball and pushed it. It didn't work. I had to go this way with it to make it work. So I'm going to do that. Let's test it before I add the plug-in. So you can see that it's not the greatest flow. And this one is the little teeny tiny 505 ball point gel pen. So now I'm going to stuff that cap back in. So this is going to give it a nice seal, and it should, as you can see, it starts to flow a lot better. It gives you that consistent ink that you, if you're old like me, remember from back in the day. And I will say that you can overfill them or overdo your fluff. I did it on my big white ones. I kind of love them because they're super bold now. So I did my 10 ones. And you see how gorgeous that writes. And it's kind of puffy. It's definitely smooth. Way better than that one was by far. But even this one that we just did, I didn't put a whole lot in there. And we got a lot better gel ink flow. So if that's something that you struggle with, try it. I did it on my glaze one. And look at how beautiful that. I didn't have to sit there and prime it forever. I just had to get the crust off the tip, and it works beautifully. So I think I'm going to probably transfer most all of mine over to that method. I'm going to have to search for some more dental wax. I might have some more there, just not that I know of. So for this one, we are going to come in with a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I do have that 8.5 by 11 piece, and I will show you how to do it. So if you don't have 12 by 12, but you have 8.5 by 11, I will show you the measurements for that one. This is where my video yesterday kind of went, shall I say, off rails. It went off rails. I'll be honest. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to use my big cutter because it does 12 by 12 pieces of paper, and a scoring board is really nice for this one. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can definitely use a lot of the cutters. This one does come with a scoring blade. I just don't tend to use it. I'm also going to bring in Lawn Fawn's Highland cows, and of course, you know, cows. So I'm also going to bring in Cowgirl from Cartabella, and that one doesn't have a top bottom. Well, it does on this one, but just keep that in mind. And then I think we're gonna do some bold colors today. So for this one, I'm gonna start with this one. I'm gonna cut this one down. Let's see if I can get it on screen. I'll try to pay better attention today. This is where we were at yesterday. I was not paying attention when I put my camera up there. It just wasn't. I was having a day, okay? I may end up editing that video down in sort of not real time, like do a speed video to share it, because it's still a cute card and I love it. But we're going to use this one. Do I want, I'm trying to decide on my color palettes here. So this one, we're going to cut this one down. I'm going to use this one at 5 1/4, so a 1/4 inch less than that 5.5. This just makes my scoring a lot easier if I do that 1/4 inch down. Now, if you were doing an 8.5 by 11 sheet, you're going to want this 5 inches wide by, I think I cut a 1/2 inch off here. Let me check. By 10.5. So that'll give these, I think it's 10.5. Maybe it's 10.4 or 10. It looks like 10.5. So I'm hoping we're at 10.5, so 10.5 here. But that gives this, I have it upside down, so that'll give this the same amount of scores on this one. So then the score lines on that one are 3 3/4, 5.5, 7 1/4, and 9 inches. I will put that in the description box below if you are looking for that. So know that you can do it with an 11.5 or 11 by 8.5 sheet of paper. And you can also do it with 6 by 6. It just takes a little bit more finagling. I would imagine, you know, using this for kind of making yourself. I did it on this one where I just cut it and then kind of welded it here. So I cut it here. I had, this one was way bigger, right? So it was like this one. So by cutting it, I don't know if you can see it. Here you go. See how I'm like hanging over and it just looked funny. It didn't open right. I just cut where my crease was and then created a new score line here and then cut off the backside straight. And then I just made that little crease here, kind of like Jessica did for her card. I don't know where I said it. It's, you know, this is me. We know that we're going to have issues. Okay. Finding things. So I have this one. I think we're going to go with this one. So this is from the 6x6 paper pack. I think I'm going with this on for like my pattern. I think. I haven't decided 100%. I can definitely go that way if I think it's too much, but I kind of like the pattern on pattern for this one. The other option would be, I guess I could go with, let's see here. We could go, ooh, the blue would be pretty. That would be pretty. I was thinking this one would be pretty too. So if we think the blue is going to be too much, we could come in with this one and kind of go solid tone, but we're going to cover up a lot of that anyways with our actual image piece. So any of those would work. However, you know, many patterns you want to go. So this is already 6 inches wide on this one. So I'm just going to cut this one down to 3 inches tall. Set that one done. And then we are going to need a piece for the background. So I have this one. Where's my extra one of that one? Okay. So this one I'm going to cut down to, we have 3 for our other piece. I'm going to do this one at 3.5 by 3.5. This is going to be my inside piece, and then I will put a smaller mat on there that kind of has room for writing. Let's see, color palette wise. Let's see if we can do, I was looking for something that was light. Do I don't have a big enough piece for that. So this one, I'm going to cut this one down to 3 inches by 3 inches. And so if you wanted to change your patterns on this piece, you can definitely do it. Cut this one 1/2 inch wider than 3 inches. So I cut this one 3 by 3, right? So cut it so it's like 3.5 on one piece, and the other piece can be 3. And then when you do your score, you're going to score it at that 3 inch mark, fold it over, and then you're just going to glue on where that line would meet or intersect. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. Okay, that one's done. That one's done. I am going to do this one on, I don't know what that one is. That is not my normal. Okay. This one I'm going to cut down to 2.5. I'm going to make my little things a little bit smaller, I think. So 2.5 by 2.5 for this one. You could definitely go taller with this one. You can make it a rectangle shape, just keeping in mind that your score, I wouldn't go over 3.5 for your total size on the height. Just remember that your width is going to be at least, you know, whatever you want your front and your back to be doubled. So I think we have all of our pieces cut for the most part. Do I have everything cut? I think I have everything cut. Okay, so those, I need to score these 2 pieces. So we're going to come in here. So this one, when we score it, I think I want this one to be on front, even though it's kind of busy. I could go with this one, I suppose, on front. Oh, decisions. But here's the thing I'm going to tell you. If you want your pattern, if your pattern has like this one, a direction to go, turn your piece of paper over and do your scores on this side. Only because you're going to want to fold it kind of backwards, and so it's easier for me. And you could keep it this way, and then you're going to score it 2, 4, 6, and 8. So either way works. I have been doing the scoring it at 4, 6, 8, and 10. So one side you're going to skip a score line, right? So picking on which side you're skipping your score line on. Oh look, I still did it wrong. So we're going this way with it. Maybe. Okay. So this one we are gonna fold this way. I guess we're going with that nice brown pattern instead. I told you, this is where my other one went off the rails too. Okay. All right. So we have that one. This way it's just going to be backwards, like it would fold open the other way. So I did do it right. Go figure. I told you what not to do and I did it anyways. And then this one we are going to score at 6 inches. I'm just going to say 3 inches on this one. And because I did it that way, I can definitely go with this pattern and it's not going to be like way out there. I could also go with that pattern, but we're going to cover most of this up, so I wanted to go with the plaid. Alright, that one is done. I think we have everything scored. I think we have everything cut. Alright, so now comes the gluing it together. So for this one, kind of have it all folded up and ready to go. And we're going to go and, sorry little Highland bossies, I messed up. You were supposed to be front and center. It's all good. You don't really see the back panel like when you're looking at it. I mean, you still see it from the back side. And so technically you must still be right side up. So that's good. Here is, okay. I think I removed this one's pin because I kept poking myself with it. So just like, where's my good full one? Alright. Enough mucking around. Let's use the full one. Whoops. So this one, I'm going to put glue on the back. I'm going to center it on my panel here. So this is kind of a flat fold card, but not really. So I want that solid piece in the back. It's just going to help hold my base. And it kind of gives you, it gives you a nice and pretty edged background. Granted, if you wanted to adjust your folds, you could just use a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock for this one. Just cutting it at 5.5 and then adjusting your folds. So I would just probably bonk them down 1/4 of an inch so it would just go over a little bit more and then end up cutting off whatever's left over. So, all right. And then for this one, I'm going to start with my base piece. I know this sounds kind of backwards, but I'm going to start with this piece first because I want to line this one up and kind of make it look like a mat when it's closed. So for this one, I'm going to, again, go with that glue. Feel free to use double-sided tape for this. I just tend to use glue because it's a forever bond. Sometimes that kicks me in the butt. Okay, I think we're centered there. So now I have this piece here that's folded. We can definitely add some ink blending to it if you want to. I'm looking for my brush that maybe will work. So I'm just going to add a little bit of tea dye around the edge on this one, just to kind of go in with that natural, what looks like a tea dye on kind of that original cardstock pattern. Just kind of hitting the edges. Do this step now because once it's on the card, it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that. So for this one, I want it to be kind of centered in this piece when I look at it. So I am going to add a little bit of, so I have both of my ends folded up and I'm going to kind of sandwich it between, like, it's the bun. So we're going to sandwich that in there to kind of see where you lay it out and go this route. So I'm going to actually just open this one up, open this one up. I'm going to put some glue on this, but I'm going to use tape. Last time I used glue and I wasn't, wasn't paying attention. I may have been on a crafty chat. It happens. And it wiggled on me, and I didn't realize it wiggled on me until it was too late, and that's how I ended up with the little white overhang and all the things. So I was like, well, obviously next time I'm going to have to use the good stuff. So for this one, we're going to start here. And you can definitely use some washi if you want to help hold it in place for you. I was going to use washi, but I can't find the roll that I just had 2 seconds ago. It's me. I know. Okay. I'm the bro. Alright. So for this one, I'm just going to figure out where my placement is going to be. Make sure I have it centered on my back piece. It's not actually going on that piece. I just like doing the extra mat. You don't have to. If you want to just do a regular mat, like if you did a longer piece and it takes up most of the card and you don't really need an extra mat in there, or you don't need a bigger writing space, feel free to make it the same size as this one or smaller than the top one, and you can hide it under there and it won't be quite as nitpicky, I guess. So this piece here, and I know that my glue is going to go kind of towards the middle, so I'm just going to add my glue here. It's not going to be all the way over because I don't trust myself to measure it perfectly with my eyes. And then I'm just going to fold over, so we've got all of those layers together there. Now I'm going to take off my tape here because it should be stuck down, right? Don't worry, I'm going to bring that back later. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my glue on this piece. And if you want, you could go glue right along the edge here because you know where that one's going to hit because you're on the top. Okay, so I'm going to add that double-sided adhesive over there, glue over here. Sorry, my camera cord got full. I don't know when we cut off, but it's already dried by the time I got it back going again. So I'm just going to add some glue onto there. I'm not going to go all the way over. You can definitely add some on the side over here if you want to, but I think we're good with that tape. And then I'm just going to lay that down on top of it. Burnish that in good. I like to make sure all of those things are sticking well. And then I'm going to slowly peel this up to get that washi off. Now I will use the washi again when we put this piece down because I want to make sure that it's going to line up. Not like my first one. What happened was this panel shifted in, and so I'd already had that panel down, so when it shifted in, or I didn't have it down, but it shifted in and I didn't realize that it shifted because I was just using glue. I ended up being off center, and so to fix that I added the little tab. You know, that's usually how my cards end up being extra because something happened that wasn't supposed to happen. It happens. But that is the gist of that fun fold. So pretty easy. Once you get this far, it's just a matter of decorating it up. But this one it's definitely kind of fun. Now, this one I left, you have options. You can definitely do a strip down here on the bottom if you want to do a sentiment on it. Of course, when it opens, if you put this one here, your sentiment is going to open and it's just going to kind of hang in space. But you could definitely do a second decorative edge down below if you wanted to match up with it. It's totally up to you how you want to do this one. You could just do a strip here, cut it, and do a strip here all the way across. Would be a really, do this here and then have another piece of this just up here so it looks like it's there. But either of those is an option for you to do. So, all right, we're going to come in with our little Highland cows, since I've been playing with them frequently, because it's third time to charm. Hopefully my coloring is even better than it has been at this point. So I'm going to put both of those pre-cut panels that I did both of these smaller than my other two cards, so we'll see how it turns out. I love this one. That's just, she kind of reminds me like of a dancing cow, or, galloping and running, right? But she kind of reminds me of like a dancing cow, especially with the party till the cows come home sentiment. It's just kind of where I'm at. I think we're going to do this one today. I haven't played with this one yet. So we have this one just standing there, and then I'll come in and add some flowers and maybe some grass by them as well. We pick those ones up. So I am stamping directly onto that Express It blending cardstock. So Ohuhu marker paper or Olo. I think Olo marker paper is kind of a similar paper to use. You can definitely use the Strathmore Bristol Smooth. And of course, if you're not using alcohol markers, feel free to use whichever ink and paper works for the medium that you will be coloring in. And you don't have to even stamp anything. If you have ephemera that fits on there and you want to use the ephemera pieces, go for it. I think this one has, I think maybe it's the bigger one that has like square pieces. Some of them have like little squares that would be really cute to put on the little squares. Or big chunky sentiments would also be really cute to put on. What are you doing, girl? Okay, I'm going to peel these off. Feel free to clean your stamps. I'm really bad at it. Hence how I get ink on my fingers and then ink on my paper probably. I'm not having a, gee, that could be why. Moment at all. Okay. I'm going to put the 3 little flowers here. I think I want to do, I did this on the other one I did. Can you see? Okay. 3 little flowers and then this one here. So it kind of looks like it's the same cow. So I'm going to put this flower over here so it just looks like it's on the other side. Once in a while, I have, ideas. So I'm going to do this one, and then I'll come back and I'll stamp that other one. But you could definitely just put a tuft of grass on there and call it good, and they could just be 2 little, 2 of their own little cows. Alright, we're going to come back in with that VersaFine, not VersaFine, with that Cloud 9 dye-based water resistant. I should try the new one Amy gave me. I think it's a Brutus Monroe one. I haven't tried it yet. It's sitting here waiting for me to think about it. I'm good there. So this one, I'm going to clean those, so hopefully if I don't place this the right way the first time, I can maybe think about moving it a little bit. And we'll pop that one on there. I will do sentiments, I think, Oh, it's probably not going to fit on there because I went smaller, is it? I'm going to have to play with my sentiment on the bottom on this one. And then for my inside piece here, I am going to add my ink blending before I get too far. I will forget otherwise. Oops. So it's all matchy-matchy. That's done. Pop this one in here, and then we can add, let's do the cute little sitting cow on this one. I'm going to do it so the lines are like right on. I'm going to do it that way though, so I can kind of pop my little cow, just so it's sitting off a little bit. And the sentiment for this one, I'm going to do that I miss you more, or I miss moo. I think I'm going to do the I miss moo. I'm going to do the I miss moo on here. I'm going with a teeny tiny sentiment on the inside. You could even put it in a speech bubble next to the cow if you wanted to. Options. Close that one up. And then for this one, for my sentiment, I'm going to bring in the VersaFine Onyx Black. And then for my cow, I want a brown. You could definitely, I think I'm just going to use, I can do the tea dye, and if I don't think it's dark enough, I can always stamp over it because there's stamping in the stamp platform. And sometimes they don't always snap the greatest. I like it. It looks like it's dark enough there, so I'm good with that. But definitely you could add, there's not a speech bubble in the set, otherwise I would have done it, I think, in the speech bubble, but this one works. Pop those back onto our face. In the other ones, I did the little hat because I did birthday cards, but this one, you could definitely add the little crown on there or the little flower thing on top of her head. I think I'm going to leave it just like that. Set that in there so I don't lose it. And we are going to bring in some markers. So for markers today, I am using a Hoo-Hoo's Oahu line in the 60 and possibly bringing in some from the either 24 or 34 skin tones. Let me just flip these off. So here's that new number system if you are looking for them. I will try to remember to tell you the color numbers as I use them so you can kind of figure them out. But this one is, because it's that 60 and the other one, so it's not the full set. My first card I did was YR, like the 2s. So I think I did 215, 213 or 14, 229, maybe down to 227 for that one. Because I didn't have all of those in this line, I ended up going with an E612, a YR515, and then a YR37. I find this combo is kind of a fun, you know, rusty, I'd say rust, like a rusty brown cow color. At least that's what I was going for. So for the coloring on this one, you can definitely go down to 1 marker, 2 markers, depending upon, you know, how much color variation you want. I'm going to color it kind of like I color hair on people's heads, because technically their fur is, you know, kind of has that same movement. Okay, and so I'm kind of laying in my low lights here, where I would think to find some shadows. And I want to keep the face lighter, so I'm not going to color that one so much. I'm going to bring in make the legs a little bit darker. There's probably not a whole lot of color contrast there. And then kind of bring up some lines from the bottom to kind of look like shaggy Highland cow fur. And then of course up from, or down from the bottom as well, or from the top as well. Then I will come in with my YR 515, so that lighter color. And I'm just going to actually color in this whole area. So I'm going over that darker tone and adding in between there, all in one fell swoop. This is going to help my two colors blend well because I'm not on the same color palette. Maybe one's more brown and one's more red. This is going to lay some of that red on top of that brown. I'm also going to bring in and kind of add a shadow underneath that floppy hair that's on its head. Maybe do a little bit on the bottom here. And then of course going over that bottom area. So if you're only using one marker, it's basically the same thing. You're just putting a second layer over that first layer of color, and it's going to give you that darker, what looks like a darker tone. Okay, and so then for my last tone here, I'm bringing in that YR37, and this one is just a lighter color, and again, kind of blending this one over that original one, bringing it in. And this one, I don't like the contrast it gives. I want it to be a little bit smoother, so I'm going to go over that whole area a second time with this one. It's going to give it a much better blend, a much darker tone to it. And then I'm just going to go over the snout in one color there. And then I'm going to hit the little hooves. And for the horns, I'm just going to go up a little bit from the bottom. And then I'm going to bring in a YR04, which is a peach pastel. I wanted just something that was going to be a little bit lighter, more whitish. Horns can be the brownish. They're usually not white, right? They usually have some tone to them. They can be gray, they can be black, depending upon. So if you made a black Highland cow, it's gonna probably have some darker gray horns or black horns even. That's not what I want. Okay, so now we're gonna color the other one in the same format. So, fun cow fact, my husband will not let me get Highlands. I try every year. This isn't the right one. This is the lighter one. I love the fact that one goes to an E, one goes, I wasn't looking for it. I mean, I guess I could have made it a lighter cow. Anyways, every year, for my birthday, all I want's a Highland cow. And he says, no, every year. I try. It's all a girl could do. One day, I'll wear them down. Shh, don't tell him I said that. I'll get in there. I've been working on my boys too. You know, because if they say they want a Highland cow, it's a little different than when mom says she wants a Highland cow. I'm trying though. I just think they're cute. So when I found out like my ancestry like stuff, and I was like, but babe, they're Scottish. And I'm Scottish, so therefore, I want to go back to the herd of my people. And that didn't work. He just looked at me and shook his head. It was A for effort, I thought, on my part. Just, hey, a girl's got to try. We just don't have the proper space. They're different than Holsteins. Holsteins are dairy cows, and Highlanders would be like grazing cattle, and we just don't have the area for them. So it would take a lot of work to bring them, even just a couple of them in, and make them comfortable. So I will, live through. My cousin Mike has some Highlanders, and they're adorable. So I just live through his Mabel and when they post baby pictures in the spring. I'm like, oh, I try when they sell them every year. I'm like, babe, you keep telling me no. If I ever get rid of the dairy cows, that's where I'm going. Highland. Don't worry, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Forever. At least not that I can tell. Foresee. Okay, so this one. So, fun cow fact. Did you know they don't have front top teeth? They just have little... They have like a dental plate on the roof, like on the front instead of teeth. And they have back chompers, like molars for grinding and stuff. But they don't actually have bottom front teeth and then no top teeth. And so, if you are a lover of cows and you see stamp sets that have not atomically correct things on them, there's a set that I absolutely love. It's adorable, except one of the animals has like, I don't know, 10 teeth on this udder, and I'm like, that's just not right. Like, most cows only have 4. They can have maybe up to 6. You know, they don't all work. So, like, maybe they might have 6, but they're not like a regular. They're just like a wisdom boobs, I guess. Have you ever watched? Okay, Larry the Cable Guy, right? My kids did not catch this one, and I was like, they were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, wisdom boobs, and they're like, "What?" Because we had a cow that had like an infection and it got a swollen bump on her udder, and I would call it its wisdom boob. And they were like, "What?" And I'm like, I said, Larry the Cable Guy, and they just looked at me like dumbfounded. Because they've listened to him, but I don't think they've heard that particular one. I'm getting off rails again today, aren't I? Anyways, I thought it was hilarious. They just looked at me funny. Don't worry, she's all better now. She has no more wisdom boob. It's cleared up. Anyways, so I have a hard time. The teeth one doesn't bug me as much, but I think the undercarriage being not atomically correct bugs me more than it's weird. Okay, for this one, for the grass, I'm bringing in the YG015. It's a dark olive color, and I'm just going to wing it here. A little. Okay, my hand slipped. I'll have to fix that. Okay, so I'm just going kind of across, making it look like we're standing on some solid ground here on both of them. And then I'm going to come in with that lighter one, which is YG012. And I'm going to hit that on the back, the underside here. On this one. And then I'm going to come back and kind of do another layer here. And because I'm not going to do a sentiment under this one, I'm going to bring it down a little bit further. But working it into this top part is going to help bring in that ombre effect a little bit more. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And so you get a okay ombre. I think my other one's ombre turned out better, but ultimately that's kind of how you get that ombre look there. And then I'm going to bring in a Y43, which is a warm beige, kind of like a yellowish. We could have definitely, I guess I could switch it out and do a darker yellow. I was going with my other pattern paper colors yet. I suppose that pink isn't going to work, huh? Okay, let's go with, we could do an RV17 for this one, for the pink flowers, and then for the teal, we'll do some tealy blue flowers. We'll go with BG010, I think. we'll do that. VG010. VG010. And RV17, I think I said. Yes. Okay. So we'll just bring in some pretty pinks. I think we'll do this one in pink. And this one in pink. I'll let those dry and then I'll come back and hit the centers. And then we'll do some pretty little blue flowers. I'm just going to come back up and kind of add a little darker concentration by the bud there. I forgot to color that one green. And then this one, I'm going to, where it's closer to the stem, I'm going to add just kind of a little dot of pink, so it'll be a little bit darker there. And then come back in with that green. And this one. Now, for clouds on my other one, I just took, like this one has a blue, the other one has a gray. I think I had to use the gray on the other one because it's not in the original 60. So I just drew little clouds in the background. For this one, I'm just going to grab the little cloudy stencil here. I'm just going to place, I'm going to grab my blue brush. So I'm just going to grab my blue dye brush and I'm just going to go in. Whoa, that one's got way more ink on it than I was prepared for. And I'm just going to add, I don't want to go too heavy-handed. I'm just going to kind of avoid my colored image and just kind of add a little bit of cloud to the background. I'm just kind of selectively placing here so I don't get my cloud covered in blue. And then just kind of hit that bottom area just a little bit there. And then I will do the same thing on this one. It's definitely got a lot of ink left on it. Okay, this one. And this one. Let's see, I kind of want this wiggling. This one's just not going to behave, is it? Okay. We'll go here with this one. Oh, it'll be a little bit purple. Okay. Just going to add a little bit there. It doesn't affect my image, but it just kind of adds that little bit in the background. You could definitely come in with a green. I don't know what green is on my brush here, but just hit that bottom area if you want to, and you could skip the ink if you wanted to entirely on that. Alright. So I lied about my colors. I added these two in and took out the other pink or red color. I didn't think about it. That's what happens when I switch papers. Okay, now we just have to add or send. We're gonna have to. I think we'll do a sentiment strip on this one. So this one we're gonna add here. Probably should have gone with a tealy green, huh? Oh, here you have blue clouds. Get what you get. Okay. I'm going to add ink on this one. I'm just going to center this one on the front of the panel. And then it's not going to open flat this way, so you want to just fold it like you would, like make this a hinge and just fold it open this way. Here. And then I can add this piece onto that one. Center that one. Now for this piece, right? So we need to add this piece on to that background panel. I'm just going to use my washi. It's not overly sticky, so it's not going to feel. So just make sure. See how I said this one? I knew it had a square somewhere. So I think this one's like a taller rectangle piece, but you could definitely use it like this on those pieces. Catch my drift? Anyways, so this one I want my I Miss Moo and the little cow to be in the right direction here. I'm going to line it up onto my panel that's there, and then I can add my glue. And then it's just a matter of closing it and sticking it. Just hold it down for just a second there so it can adhere. I don't have to worry about it popping up. And then, of course, peeling off that washi. And now, when I close it, it looks like this is just another piece for like a mat. And then when you open it, you have the room for your sentiment in there. You have the cute little cows. So now I need to do a sentiment on this one. Haven't thought this part through yet, so let's see. We could go that route. Let's see. What do I have for little pieces? I'm thinking I'm going to use could definitely do like the boots and blanks. See, those ones would be really cute on there as well. Just doing little those ones on there. I might use that piece. I might bring in. I don't like that color option. Let's see here. That one would work. That one would work. You know, they all would probably work. That one's more not the right color of. Maybe we'll do the pink. I think we'll do the pink. And then I think we're going to mount it on this piece. This is just heavier cardstock. This one's kind of a little bit flimsier. But we're going to bring the stamp platform back in. Set that one off to the side. And the stamp set we'll bring in, I think we're going to do the Long Time No See. We could do Party Till the Cowgirls. I wish there was a couple of other sentiments on that one. I mean, I have other sentiment sets I could definitely get with. Long Time No See, I think is the one we're going to go with. Until I see you again. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to use the VersaFine Onyx Black for this one. I think L'Enfant has a smaller Highland cow like add-on, but it's like a mailbox. I was hoping for another little cow, like a little baby cow with a Their baby animals are definitely nature's cutest creations, right? Like everything's cuter in baby form. These animal lives. I love baby cows. Your parents sometimes, not so much. That has more to do with me than you though. Or, you know, the end I work on that one. Let's see here. I'm just using my guide here to kind of make this an even border all the way around. So I'm just going to kind of line up my last letter and my first letter, and then of course the bottom of my letters on here. You see how I lost space, right? So I'm just going to try to butt that up there, making sure that my sentiment looks mostly straight. And then again with the front letter. And we should have a fairly well done, at least center-wise, sentiment. Feel free to use sentiment strips if you have them for your die cut machine. It's a lot easier. Well, usually, sometimes. Mostly it's a lot easier. And this one, I think I'm going to mount it about here. So I'm going to mount this one first, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. So making sure that I have kind of equal distance on the top, bottom, and the one side, and then I will come back in with my paper cutter here. It kind of looks like this. We'll see if it. I can always trim off more. I can add it on a little hair less. There we go. And there is our sentiment to finish this one up. So a long time no see. And we're just going to want to put glue on half of it. Not the whole thing, because I don't want it to stick to my base panel there. And try to center this one best that I can. With that top panel piece there, I'm going to wiggle it down a little bit so it's not. I remember this one is here, so I was trying to center it here to there. But I could have probably wiggled it down a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. It looks even there, though, so I think we're good. So there is our completed long time no see card with those cute little Highland cows from Long Pond. So I'm guessing this one is a double Z. I like to call it the accordion fold because it reminds me of playing, when I play the accordion or the concertina. All right, so that is that one. Here's the other one that I did. So see how different color-wise they are to one another, just by switching that pattern paper up. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Bye.